All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into something huge, maybe one of the biggest questions of all. Who am I? And the answer? Well, it all comes down to this concept of identity. You know, that powerful force that really shapes how we see ourselves and where we fit in the world. So let's just jump right in with that huge question. Who am I? It sounds so simple, right? Three little words, but the answer? It's anything but. As we're going to see, it's this really fascinating mix of what makes you, well, you, and all the different groups you're a part of. Okay, so what even is identity? Our source material puts it this way. It's our subjective experience of who we are. So think about it like this. Your personality, that's kind of like your set of personal traits, right? But your identity, that's about how you see yourself in relation to everything else. And here's the key part. It's an active thing. We're constantly identifying with different groups, ideas, and cultures. It's something we do, not just something we are. And to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to look at the two main levels it works on. There's the individual, the me, and then there's the group, the we. Let's dig into what that actually means. So on one side, you've got your personal identity. This is all the stuff that makes you uniquely you. You know, your quirky sense of humor, that one band you're obsessed with, the way you see the world. It's what makes you stand out from everyone else. But then, on the other side, there's your social identity. And this is a huge piece of the puzzle. It's all about the groups you belong to, your family, your nationality, the city you're from, even the sports team you cheer for. And that's the real power of personal identity, right there. I mean, think about it. You could be in a massive crowd of people who all share some kind of social identity with you, like you're all at the same concert or you all work at the same place. But it's that little voice inside, that sense of me, that stops you from just becoming part of the background. It's what makes you feel like you. Okay, but here's where things get really interesting and, let's be honest, a little complicated. None of us belong to just one group. We're all kind of like these walking, talking collections of different identities. And every single one of them, your job, your family, your hobbies, they all add another layer, shaping not just how you see the world, but how the world sees you too. I mean, just think about your own life for a second. There are identities you were basically born with, right? Things you didn't choose, like your ethnicity or the family you grew up in. Those are what we call ascribed identities. But then there are the ones you do choose, the ones you avow. Think about your career, your political beliefs, the friends you hang out with. All of these different memberships get bundled together to create your total social identity. Now, this whole thing we do as humans, forming groups, finding identity in them, it's totally natural. But it has this, well, this really powerful consequence, and sometimes it can be a pretty problematic one. Because the moment you create an us, you automatically create a them. There's a name for this, social categorization. And really, it's just a mental shortcut. Our brains are trying to make sense of a super complex world, so they sort people into boxes. In groups, that's people like us, and out groups, everyone else. You've seen this a million times. Think about high school cafeterias or how fans of rival sports teams act. We just naturally tend to favor our own group. But this mental map has a huge impact on our lives. And yeah, this is where we start to see the dark side of identity. It's the root of things like prejudice and stereotyping. Okay, and this is a really crucial point. In any given society, not all identities are on a level playing field. Some groups are just seen as the default, the norm. We call these unmarked identities. The source points out how, in many Western countries, whiteness is often an unmarked identity. A white person might not spend a lot of time thinking about their race because it's just seen as the standard. On the flip side, you have marked identities, the ones that are constantly pointed out as being different, as the other. And that dynamic creates a ton of social pressure. It can lead to something the source calls passing. This is where someone from a marked group might try to adopt the language, the behaviors, even the appearance of the dominant, unmarked group. And look, this isn't just about fitting in. It can be a very conscious strategy to try and navigate a world where privileges and opportunities are often tied to which group you're seen as belonging to. So, this is why all of this matters so much. This is the heart of it, especially today in a world that's so connected. Understanding identity isn't just some abstract, academic exercise. No way. It is directly wired into social power, and it completely shapes the way we communicate with each other every single day. For example, there is a whole field of study in intercultural communication that looks at the concept of whiteness. Now, to be super clear, the goal here isn't to talk about biology or genetics. It's about understanding whiteness as a social identity. Researchers analyze how that identity has, historically, been connected to structural advantages, what people often call privilege, and they explore the cultural stuff that reinforces it. And to make this really concrete, let's look at a powerful real-world example. Scholar Ingrid Banks puts it perfectly when she says that for Black women, hair is so much more than just hair. As she says, and I'm quoting here, hair shapes Black women's identities and their feelings about race, gender, class, sexuality, and images of beauty. And that's the direct result, you see. When the mainstream culture keeps pushing this one very narrow, often very white idea of what's beautiful, well, that creates incredible pressure. As the source explains, for a lot of Black women, the choice to straighten their hair isn't just a style choice. It's a really complex negotiation with a culture that, for a very long time, hasn't seen their natural features as beautiful. Okay, so we've gone through all these different layers, right? The personal and the social, the identities we choose and the ones we're given, the marked and the unmarked. So where does that leave us? What's the big takeaway here? You know, there's this Rwandan proverb that just seems to hit the nail on the head. It says, you can outdistance that which is running after you, but not what is running inside you. I mean, think about that. We can change our jobs. We can move to a new city. We can change how we look. But that deep, internal sense of who we are, that thing running inside us, that's a whole lot harder to escape. Which really brings us to one last big question for you to chew on. Is identity something you have, like a stable core part of who you are? Or is it something you do, something you perform, like a series of roles you step into depending on who you're with? Maybe it's both. And that, right there, is the beautifully complex, totally fascinating puzzle of identity.